Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Environmental Social Justice. Today we have Miss Olivia Igwe in the house. So welcome, Olivia.
Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Joel, sorry, and Wendy.
No, you actually said it correct. It is Joelle.
It's Joel. Okay.
It is.
I was like, wait, Joel or Joel? But thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
But growing up, everybody's like, man, it's spelled like Joel. I just gave up. I'm like, I just can't look it up.
Call me whatever, boo. It's cool.
As long as you
We're
call
all
me.
pretty easy. And so just so people know, because Olivia and I met online just through some social media platforms. She has a huge following, and she helps underdogs to build confidence and purpose online. And one of your focuses is ignore people judging you, ignore the bad press, ignore people putting you down, do your thing. And that's what I love about what you're doing, building confidence, helping women, social justice, equity. So please tell the world how they can fix this about themselves.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Oh, that is a really good one. We're getting into the juiciness. I love it. Let's go. But I will be honest, and thank you for the accolades. I mean, when I hear that I have a huge following, I'm like, with my mini following, I shall take that. I shall receive that. But I will tell you this: I'm still working on my confidence every single day. Unfortunately, it's a skill that's perishable. So you're going to have to do it every single day and grow on it. It's not a quick fix, but it will require loving yourself. You're going to have to put yourself first, no matter what. And that's the toughest part, because I don't have any kids yet. But from what I've seen with, for example, my sister and some friends, where once they get a child or get married, their identity is lost. And so my whole mission is to have you own your purpose. I mean, gosh, the other day I talked to somebody and she didn't want to do any voice notes. I'm a very voice note girl. Sometimes, I mean, Wendy,
I got a lot of them. I'm like, how did you do that?
How did you do that? It's easy. Hold the microphone and talk. But you only have a certain amount of minutes, right? 1 minute on Insta and Facebook. But the fact of me interacting and her hearing my voice and me encouraging her to show up. Yesterday, she literally just went live for the first time telling her story. And she had been through a lot of abuse, etc. And that, for me, I'm like, that just made me smile so hard, right? Because she took ownership of her life just by having somebody believe in her. I have so much belief in others that take my belief in you to grow. And I just believe that that's how it starts, having somebody that's cheering you on. And sometimes strangers is the best place, because the other day, I mean, I'll give another example. Somebody else, I reached out to her and she's like, you're the only person that will really talk to me and listen to me. And I'm like, I just messaged you, right? Like, I only talk to my kids, my family, but you're willing to just give, 5-10 minutes of your time to just listen to me. And for me, that was the world, because she's been through a lot of intensity, hate, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, whew, okay, we got to see the world.
I mean, family's great, but sometimes the strangers will hear what you have to say, and listen.
And there's also just not a barrier there. Like when it's your family or somebody that you're much more reserved, because you don't want to feel like you're burdening them.
Yeah.
Whether you are or not, you don't want to feel that.
Of course. And when you have somebody that you've known, they know your story. Mm-hmm. So, and we're already judging on the story already in the past. Whereas if I don't know you, of course, I still get, a couple of cases like, why it's weird talking to a stranger. Boo, you got issues, right? I don't have to move on next, right? I'm here to save the world. You either want my services or you want my serving or not. Let's move on. But generally, the person that will talk from the heart is when I don't know you, because you don't know my past. You don't know what I've been through. And I'm only judging you from what I see. So, yeah.
But it's very true. It is very true. I mean, Wendy and I go way back, and I'm often telling her just to get out of her own way. I am. I mean, I did this yesterday. Just, shut up.
I got a strict talking to yesterday, actually. Strict.
But she knows I'm doing it because I know what she wants to do, and I know how it works. And, and I know sometimes she wants to slap me upside the head, and I get that. I get that from a lot of people. That's another story. But that's really what it's about. It is about just saying, like, I get it, but stop. Yeah. We can't keep focusing on these same things, or we have to change. And I'm feeling that I'm guilty as hell about getting stuck in my own way. I'm very guilty about that. So it's also easier to see it in other people than it is in yourself.
Oh,
Well,
and we do it, and we will do it constantly. Unfortunately, every person will do it, but at their own level. I mean, a millionaire, billionaire, or somebody that's earning 10 figures, 3 figures, or whatever. Everybody's going to do it.
Yeah.
That's
it's
not hard.
interesting to add to getting in your own way, just to give people an example. When I first started ESJ and doing these interviews, I would not put it on LinkedIn because I was afraid of the judgment from the working community. And it's turned out a year later that LinkedIn's my largest following. The most views come from that platform. So something I held off for the first 5 or 6 months turned out to be my greatest supporter. So lesson learned, and it's still a growing process for me. I'm still working on it. But one of the things, bringing it back to Miss Olivia, is you are helping people. You started in fashion, and that's a hard industry. You want judgment, work in fashion.
Oh yeah,
It's rough, and you've transgressed that experience into helping the underdog, helping women with empowerment, self-confidence, and just that. I mean, I don't know how you do that.
What was the segue?
Oh, that's interesting. What is the segue? Yeah, the segue.
Yeah.
Fashion into what it was now. I still have fashion in me. Like I say, I've got 4 parts in me. There's one side, one half, you've got fashion, like I love. Then you've got food on the other side. I love eating. You got family, friends on the other side. Then you got network marketing on the other. So it's like a 4. At first it was going to be a half, but then half of a half. So I just thought it was like a quarter or whatever. So the fashion I started because initially after school, they say, hey, what do you want to do? I always knew I wanted to set up something. Like I listened to Tony Robbins and Bob Proctor when I was younger. So I was like, I'm going to create something, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Right. And say hi. Right. And so my dad got headhunted by a lady that was in fashion, and they had opened Instituto Marangoni, which is a fashion school in Paris. So one of the big fashion schools in Italy, Marangoni, it's like the equivalent of St. Martin's in the UK. And so initially I wanted to be an architect. I saw it was 6 years. I was like, nope, we're going to change something else. I'm like, I'm not studying for 6 years. That's just like, might as well be a doctor at this point. But me and like, if you give me, like, I'm still trying to figure out what my heart is. So we're not going to do that. It's issues. And so I wanted to be a designer, but then I realized I have to like sew. I'm lazy. I know. So I said, no, what? I'm going for stylist. Yeah. It's hard. Like the patterns and the silk and go. No one's got time for it. I got the ideas, put it together. And so then I did styling. And I loved it. Putting the clothes together. Like you could give me a dustbin bag and I'll put it together. I love it. I mean, worked with amazing designers, you know, from royalty to high-end clients, etc. I loved it. But I'm exchanging my time against money, and I don't want that. And both of my parents are entrepreneurs, and so I wanted to create something that was Olivia. So set up as a fashion stylist / personal shopper, graduated as that because as a stylist, you only put the clothes in designers. They call you at the last minute if they need you. That's it. You don't have a say. And the fashion personal shopper is more of, who are you? What are your feelings, your emotions? You put on weight. Okay, why did you put on weight? Right. Whereas, you know, if I wanted to be a model in the industry, first of all, I'm too fat. Like I have to be a size 34, 36. As much as, you know, people say, oh, you got the best physique. Whatever. Yes, I'm blessed to have a physique. Yes, but I'm too fat. I'm not the size that they have. So then I was like, okay, let me jump and dabble into that. I do retail tours, love it, but I just exchanging my time against money. That's what bothers me. And so jumped into like a couple of network marketing companies that didn't work out until last year the last 2 years that we've had with the brain fog and, you know, a pandemic and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
I had set up the company a year before. So the first one I had shut down, cost me $50, had to shut it down for $4K. But I never gave up. Resilient as F to really just like create something. I was not giving up on it until like when I did the last network marketing company. I was like, God, I talked to God. So I don't know if you believe or not. I was like, I don't care. I don't want to do it anymore. It's not for me. Find me another path. But pandemic hit. So I prayed and I was like, look, God, bring me body, mind, and soul that can align all together. 24 hours. Somebody called me up and said, hey, I got an opportunity for you. I'm like, I'll just be quiet. My words are so sharp. My words are so powerful. So I'm just going to align and do it. And then through that, I had to learn who I wanted to be. I had to go through what is branding. And I realized over time I was super smart because I had changed. Unfortunately, I was in CBD and I was only attracting people that were ill. And I didn't want that. But nobody knew my transition because I didn't brand it as if this, right? I branded it as Olivia Igwe. And so I'm always talking about fashion. I'm always talking about empowerment. I'm always talking about colors. And so I was able to brand it into who I am today. So long story short, it went from branding fashion, which I still love.
Right.
But then I was like, I could take you shopping. But it's not a transferable skill where I can tell you what to do and you can implement it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I have to show you. But how about if I could show you online, reach more people? I can create a community because I'm all about community. I'm always replying to messages. I'm always replying to my comments because I want you to be seen. Last thing I want is me saying, hey, like. I don't care about the likes. I want engagement. We always say content is king, engagement is queen. Because if I engage, I can find what's needing. The other day, somebody wrote down, I did a video on TikTok about empowering like women and women support each other. Like, I don't know about you, but around this block, women support women. Like I put women support women. And that video went crazy. For me, it went crazy. And I got a lot of engagement. Like women, yeah, I support you. And I just replied, made friends and reconnected with them because I see them. And a lot of women are not seen. And I'm baffled because I'm like, I'm sorry, did I miss something? Because I'm the first to say this is it. But a lot of women, when it's not in your lens or in your vision, it's like a battlefield.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know about how you were raised, but I was raised to be quiet. Don't speak loudly. Nobody likes a loud girl. Yeah. You know, keep your head down. You'll be recognized, which is the worst advice in the world. Do not keep your head down and you'll be, no, you got to raise that flag and wave it and let people know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And that was hard for me because anytime I did accomplish something or finish a project, I never told anybody. I would just slightly, quietly put it away. Project's done, client happy. And people are like, well, what are you doing all day? Busy. Because I wasn't waving.
Oh, yeah.
But it's funny because I was like listening to your story about how you started in fashion to where you're going now. It's like there's one key thread that always comes through, and that really is about identity and empowerment, because clothing is power. It really is. I mean, we all have it. There are certain days you get dressed and you're like, "Well, I can freaking take on the entire world." I mean, everything clicks in that day, and you carry yourself differently. And so It's like, I mean, so your whole background really starts with that one thread, is what it seems like. That's the entire foundation.
It's literally, yeah, that's absolutely right. It started with when I was younger, I would change myself 8 to 9 times every single day. My mom would go crazy, but not to get the clothes dirty, but to understand what did I feel if I wanted to be like back in the 90s, kind of gangsta, right?
Or the fact that you were a kid in the 90s, we're not going to address that. I'm going to leave that.
Let it go, Joel. Let it go. Move on.
I'm just saying, that's why I said we're not going to address it. So I addressed it by not addressing it.
I'm in the 80s, so I'm still 88, guys. Like, but
just don't. That doesn't help. You're not helping yourself here.
I feel the pain. Let's talk about it.
Just move on.
You look fabulous, Joel. We're going to move on.
But through those, actually just wearing the clothes, I realized, how could I feel if I felt sad? How could I feel when I felt, colorful? How could I feel? And so actually I brought that into being loud. And in fashion, fortunately, I mean, I was blessed enough to be in schools that, in a school that was okay and it just started. I have a hard time being in big classes, so I was really blessed. But I will say colors really came in. I realized every time I wore color, it automatically shifted my mood. And so I realized the bolder you are, the more you stand out. And when you know your worth, you're actually just unshakable. And so I just realized unconsciously I just brought into the brand, which would be the reason why today it's colors, it's loud, because you want to be remembered. Last thing I want is somebody working with somebody else or purchasing drinks from somebody else or doing something somebody else because I wasn't loud enough on that day.
But it's also about, it's not just about being loud, it's about being true to yourself.
And true.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. You know, so I don't think it's like not everybody should go out there and put on like bright pink or anything that's just going to show up, because if you're not comfortable in it, that's going to show even more.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's being comfortable. And I always say, look, you do not have to be me. You do not need to wear a different, you know, nail polish that looks different or whatever. But what I want you to do is maybe, you know, wear perfume that makes you confident. Maybe wear that underwear that, you know, you bought at Victoria's Secret or whatever high-end brand. And if that can embody and you can walk with your presence as being, I don't know, that lawyer that's walking in the courtroom, but has that energy of holding herself. And I gave you that little thing to, hey, I'm going to look at myself in the mirror. I'm going to give myself a high five or something. That's a win.
Yeah.
That is
so
awesome.
I do have to ask, because I'm going to talk on a couple of things really quick. So you do a lot of stuff on social media.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the dangers of social media as well. But whether it's from the body image, but you also mentioned something which I'm going to kind of push back on a little bit here, is like the high end, because I think we have such a fixation on everything being luxe and high end that it's driving people to feel behind as opposed to working within what you've got. You know, because not everybody can afford to go out and buy like the super high-end suits or but you're told this is what you have to be a valid member of society. You have to have the $75,000-$100,000 sports car. You have to have abs. You know, a woman has to basically be a size 0, and you know, you have to have these unhealthy ideals. And so, how do you get people to understand that this isn't reality? This is social media. When you see those things.
Yeah. Awesome question. So was the first one about how to deal with the downside of social media, right?
Yeah.
So that is a really good one. So I intentionally go on social media I go on social media with an intention. So I have to prepare my mind before I go on. So first, when I wake up in the morning, I touch my phone, but I only touch it first of all, I took off the notifications. So I only go so I have like EFT, I do tapping and some breathing stuff. So I have the apps that are on there that I will check. So I focus my mind, and I always have like podcast tuning into my mind. The downside of it is like, it's a massive scroll hole. Like I get a lot of ideas from others that I save and then I recreate, and I work when I feel the energy and the excitement of creating.
Okay.
But the downside of it, and I know a lot of women do that, like women, we're the first, like if we see a comment or a lot of comments, we're the first ones to look at the comments and see what it is. And so you have to, it's a self work on you. And also you have to be careful of what you're watching. I will not watch anything that's politics. I will not watch anything that is religion. I will not watch anything that is like that hurts my soul and I can't feed, because once I watch it or something, my mood can shift really, really easily. So I have to like line that. So you do get that downside, because I still have a lot of comparison when I look up to a couple of people that I consider my online mentors. But sometimes I have to stop myself and say, hey, look, you're not fighting her same battles. Because if you had her same position, would you be able to handle everything that she's not saying? So I always have this phrase like, what if? So that's a couple of things that I do. You still get, you know, a bit of hate. I mean, last time I was on TikTok, you know, going live, you know, somebody literally just said, oh my goodness, like my girlfriend hates you and dislikes you, but we still watch you. I'm like, oh,
I was
wow.
looking at it, I'm like, what's the purpose behind that? Like, I've never understood why, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Why do you have to comment on people? I mean, and the thing is, it's a power move, but it's a hit. It's the most passive aggressive power move, because you're like, I will never see this person. I'm just going to type it. Now it's in the world. Show them. And it's like, yeah, you showed how trivial you are. Like, it
hurts. I won't lie. It hurts when I see that.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I told my boyfriend that I was going live. And he doesn't seem to understand. So it doesn't matter. Welcome to my boyfriend, Enyo. Anyways, so that's just, and I told him, I just don't understand. How many times I have to tell a man? How many times do you have to tell a woman?
Oh, that's a whole nother discussion.
That's a whole other story. We can go into it.
I can go into that hard.
It got lazy. So it's the fact that I will tell you this. Since pandemic, or since this year, if you're wanting to grow on social media, you have to be mentally and physically prepared for hate to come your way. Unfortunately, that's what it is, regardless of what you say. You know, I posted a couple, and the content will be different on each platform. Facebook will have a different algorithm, because I tend to repurpose my content everywhere because I never know who's watching. And so, you know, I did get a lot of so I posted a picture, a video where I was saying I was doing a transition from where I was in the past. So I said, look, I went through 2 failed online businesses, 2 failed businesses, 6 online, 2 abortions, lost myself, was supposed to get married, just things that really hurt, to where I am today. On TikTok, I got so much love from literally women. I got increased engagement. My video got featured into one of the 100 viral reels, right, from a friend on network marketing, right? I reposted it on TikTok, on Instagram, got a lot of visibility. Facebook a little bit less, and then on YouTube it's like, ooh, you did abortion. Who are you? That's nasty. And I'm like, okay.
But they also didn't know your circumstances or what
they don't know. And so every platform is going to be different. And so how I do that is generally, if I do get into that score hole and I get offended, 1, the person is probably hurting. 2, some point I will reply because it boosts the algorithm. Strategic. 3, so that it continues, right? You're like, okay. Thank you for the love. I really do appreciate it. And then it's like a little something. But then after that, I will have to go for a workout, or I will have to move, or I will have to leave my phone, or have a friend that I can call up just to elevate me. And so that's why it's so important to have a community, or have people that know your story. Because I can't really tell it to my boyfriend because he doesn't understand. He sees me on social media. He doesn't get it, because he's in the restaurant business. So finding somebody that is in the same arena as you, people that have the same game, not people that, don't have it yet.
So really quick, so I do want to touch on the whole thing about, because obviously social media is huge for you. How do you advise people to not get trapped in keeping up with the Joneses? Because that's, I mean, we all know that it's really
that can be detrimental.
And it is. It's very detrimental. It's incredibly dangerous, especially for impressionable children. I think we all know that young girls and women have the hardest time with what's going on. And I will say, equality is coming into effect here, because it's happening to men as well. You know, a woman has to, like we said before, a woman has to be a size 0. You have to wear the Balenciagas. You have to do this. You have to this. You have to go in debt and starve yourself to the nth degree.
And don't forget the plastic surgery.
Yeah,
there are a lot of women that feel that they have to do that.
And then a man has to spend, 20 hours in the gym. You've got to have not even a 6-pack anymore. You've got to have the 8-pack, the perfect pecs. You've got to have the V's. You've got to wear the watches. You've got to wear everything. And I'm just like, just stop.
It's exhausting.
And it's dangerous what's happening to people. So how do you advise people to really be careful with this?
That's a really tough one, because I am still navigating it. Now, I grew up in the 80s. I know I'm bringing it back, but I grew up with sticks and stones. So we already had a sort of personality, in the sense that it was either, fight or flight. Like, I'm here, you like me or you don't. Whereas here, there's a lot of have you seen contouring to makeup and all that stuff, So I'm still figuring out the generation to today. And it's a really tough one that I know it is understanding who you are, knowing what works for you. But every case is very different, I've realized. And it takes a lot of resilience. You have to have tough skin. And the tough skin will be it sounds cheesy, but it's working on you. It's going to be working out, like boxing, CrossFit, athletics, or yoga. I know something that requires you physically to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Always living outside of that. But if social media is not your thing and you have to get off it for a couple of months and go back with the intention of who I am. But the who I am is, a lot of people are working on that. So I don't know if I can really answer that one, because every case is different, and I'm still navigating this new arena. Like my nephew, he's 2 years old. He's like the COVID baby, but he's smart. I'm like, did I miss a beat on these kids that are coming now?
The young kids are amazing.
And talk or hang up, and I'm like, dude, who are you? 35.
You know, it's funny because like every now and then I freely admit that I can spiral down the Instagram rabbit hole, like everybody can. You know, you just kind of have a brain fog, and you're just sitting there and you're like going, okay, like, wait, this has been a few minutes. And after a while, I just start looking at these things and I'm going, do you really have nothing better to do? And I'm talking about myself, but I'm also looking at the stuff that I'm seeing online to just say, like, this is like, okay, that's really, like, what's the point?
What are we? Yeah. And I will tell you this, Facebook, Instagram, all these algorithms, they'll make it so smart that if they see something that you spend more time on, they will bring it up. Like the other day I was looking at some cats for some reason. I'm more of a dog person, but I don't have any animals, right? And I just scroll hole into TikTok. So I would say, like, have a timer if you can. And if you're smart enough to put it on before, there's like an app that's called Focus. And it's like the timer of like that ticking bomb. And so that will have you click on it. Although on TikTok, since it takes it off, you can't really hear it. So if you have two phones or something, like, put that timer on. I know that just brings resilience, but those are small.
But I think, but this also brings back to what you do, which is, it is, I mean, we're going to bring this whole full circle because I know we're running low on time here, but it really is about your identity, knowing who you are, being comfortable with that person, not getting caught in the trappings that we're surrounded with at such a harsh and overwhelming level. I mean, everywhere you look, it's about like, do this, be better at this, be better at this, keep going for this, you know, do the hustle, you know, or like, what's your hustle? What's your side note? It's like, can I sleep?
Yeah.
No sleep for you.
You know, and so I think
no sleep, no eat, work. But
that's super important. What you're doing is that you're working with women to say, like, no, just stop.
No,
let's find out who you are before we can go down these other avenues.
Because and if I may add something that you said is in that identity of you. The thing is, like, in social media, everybody wants to be the everybody.
Yep.
So how can you be the one that you can be remembered for? And how can you make the other fail? And so if you can tune into how can I, you know, maybe that extra voice note or sending that message or that deal when you say, hey, you know, how are your kids? That sort of attention of I care and I'm serving you is part of that identity too that we have to bring in.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
I feel like
I mean, the energy you bring, as Joel said before we started, folks, Joel did comment that Olivia's energy bounces through the screen. And that is absolutely true. It's freaking awesome. And the self-confidence is amazing. And it is something you have to constantly maintain because comments hurt. I mean, I follow things on Instagram and people are like, oh, I can't stand this person. I'm like, was it necessary to comment? You, as Joel would say, just don't watch. If you don't agree with it, that's okay. I mean, I have disagreements with people all the time and they try to rile me up and work me up. And I simply say, it's okay that we disagree. Yeah. And it's a lost art form. Yeah. And, but what I love about what you're doing, the empowerment, social justice, equity, promoting women, especially in the workplace, which is hard to do. So guys, look Olivia up. She's not hard to find. I found her and I'm not tech savvy.
That is Olivia true.
So, pardon me, what'd you say, Joel?
Nothing.
Yeah, shut it. He's like my brother. I've known him for ages, but
great combination. I love it. I love it. And if I just may say one thing that you said is your style will evolve. Your identity will evolve. So, you know, the style that I had in the 1990s is completely different from what it is. It's still tomboy-ish, but I wear lipstick. Whereas I would never do it, right? And I'm sure Joel, same thing has changed, and Wendy too. Like, alas.
It always changes. It's always changing because it's fun to do.
Yeah, it's fun to switch it up. Yeah. I mean, people who knew me in New York, I had very short hair. I wore black all the time. I dressed like a dude. I moved to LA and one of my best friends, Lee, came to visit and I was in a dress. I had my nails done. I had my hair done. And she's like, who are you? What is this? And it's just, I switched it up. And that's okay. It was okay to be feminine. I mean, I got out of the corporate world and all of a sudden it's okay to look like a girl. So on that, folks, self-confidence, build it every day. Follow Olivia on her pages because she will bring joy to every moment of your day. I watch you frequently and I love what you're doing. So please don't stop. And somebody put this girl on the big screen. She needs to be on a big screen. Movies.
And don't hang up at the end. I have a couple more questions for you.
Oh, no worries. But thank you so much for having me, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Take care. We'll see you next time.